Hey guys, now that we're officially in banlist season, I thought it would be cool to look at some cards that could go straight from Forbidden to Unlimited. When I went to research this video after I had the idea, I was surprised to find that there aren't very many examples. The few exceptions that there are, though, is the topic of today's video, and I'll start with a pretty clear-cut, non-controversial choice, which is Tribe Infecting Virus. This is a monster that you will normal summon and then activate its effect to discard a card and then declare a monster type and destroy monsters of that type. Clearly, this is a relic of a much older, slower format. It was really strong at a time when you just had really generic strong normal summons that you would use, and field wipes were particularly strong. Nowadays, especially when there's such type diversity, especially within decks, a lot of decks use monsters of many different types. It's only going to be a partial field wipe. It destroys, it's slow. Using your normal summon on a card like this, most decks don't want to do. They want to use their normal summon as a part of a combo. It also discards a card, so especially when this is a monster that doesn't really do anything else on the field, it's not particularly good on the field, it kind of feels like you went -2 to destroy some monsters of only one type, when you could be using cards like Raigeki that just generically destroy all monsters regardless of their type on your opponent's side of the field, and you don't have to discard. When we have Raigeki at 1, there just doesn't seem to be any reason why we couldn't have Tribe Infecting Virus Unlimited. It's just not very threatening. I don't really see many decks that are capable of using it. Maybe Mermail could use it, but even then I don't think they'd be too interested in it, and Mermail's not really that good right now. The next card is kind of in a similar boat. It's just too slow. Yatta. So this is a card that was very infamous in the early years of the game. There's the so-called Yatta Lock, and first I'll explain the effect of this card, and I think the lock will become pretty obvious to you. If you attack your opponent and deal battle damage with Yatta, they skip their next draw phase. So if they're low on cards, or they have no cards in their hand or on the field, you can keep poking them with Yatta to prevent them from getting new cards. And that was the lock, where essentially it just prevents you from having any cards at all. That is very unlikely to happen in today's game, and Yatta is just too slow. It is a spirit monster, so it does return to your hand at the end phase, but every turn you have to normal summon it. That was fine in the early stages of the game, when you could have monsters already on the field, beating over your opponent's monsters, and then you poke them with Yatta, slowly whittling them down on cards until they have none at all, and you just win. A lot of cards have graveyard effects, there's a lot of one card combos, there's a lot of starter cards nowadays, so there's never really going to be a situation where you're being Yatta locked, and if you are being Yatta locked, you're almost guaranteed to lose anyway. You're probably going to be one turn killed as soon as you run out of cards. Next, we're going to talk about Windup Carriers and Mighty. So this is the first one that's remotely controversial or may have any caveats. So this card is an Xyz monster that is very useful in the Windup deck. It was originally banned because it is part of a hand loop with Windup Hunter, where you just discard all of your opponent's cards in their hand. So a lot of people think that Windup Hunter should be banned and this card should come off, because Windup Hunter is the card that is actually discarding cards. I would agree, but the reason I'm putting Zen Mighty on this list is not just because of that, but I'm not even sure Hunter would even need to be banned at this point. I think there is an argument that Zen Mighty could just come to Unlimited and nothing else would need to happen. The Windup hand loop feels like it is pretty easily disrupted. Obviously, Windups as a deck just aren't that impressive going second. I think the only good thing about them really is the hand loop. They have to go first, they have to be undisrupted. There's a lot of hand traps these days. Really, there's just a lot more ways to disrupt them if you're the player going second than there was in the deck's heyday. I'd be curious to see what you guys think about this card, just going straight to 3, not banning Hunter. Do you think we really need to ban Hunter? I kind of feel like it's a quality of life change at this point. It would be nice to have Hunter banned if Zen Mighty went to 3, just to make windups less irritating, but it just doesn't feel like it's absolutely needed when we have cards like Topologic Gumblar Dragon and Heroic Champion Rungomniad. Windups just feel like an objectively inferior pseudo FTK at this point that doesn't do anything going second. Even once they hand loop you, if Sky Strikers draw Engage, or they are Hands Whipping Burning Abyss, which activates cards in the graveyard. They don't end on a board that's too scary. It's not like it's Gumblar with an extra link. So if you have a starter card, there is a way to usually fight back in the duel. Finally, we're going to talk about Sureit Strategist of the Necroz, which might be the most dangerous one to go straight to unlimited. Necroz was relatively recently tier 0. Sure, it was used much more recently than a lot of these other cards. There's been less power creep since it was a relevant card, but Necroz hasn't been doing too much in the OCG despite Sure it being at 3. I think they just put Bryonic back to unlimited. Sure, it's kind of scary because it circumvents the core ritual mechanic, which is that you need to tribute monsters whose levels are equal to or greater than the level of the ritual you're summoning. Sure, it is just your one ticket to summoning any ritual monster, which is really helpful for getting out some of the larger Necroz monsters like Trishula or Valkyrus. Like I said, in the OCG though, the Necroz just hasn't done that much, and I don't see anything in the TCG that would make it much better here than it is there. So maybe it's time that we give Sureit a chance. I think personally I would rather it go to 1 or 2 first, but realistically, based on the OCG, it can just go straight back to 3. Like with Zenmighty, I'd be really curious to see what you guys think about this card. Some of you played during that format, I'm sure, and some of you didn't. I'd be curious what your impression of the card is, depending on whether you played during its existence in the game or not. I have a feeling that some newer players might not see what was so good about it, while some older players will, and there might be a bit of an opinion split there, maybe some bias towards some bad memories of having to play against Necroz. It's just an interesting case where your kind of gut feeling if you played during Necroz format is, no, let's not bring that back, but maybe it is just fine. And those are the 4 cards that I think are currently forbidden that could go straight to unlimited. I think the forbidden section is generally pretty airtight, but these are the big black marks on it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd really like to hear your opinions on some of these cards, especially Zenmighty and Sureit, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.